Hello, welcome to this webinar. My name is Andres Lesmes. I am an application engineer with Design Point Solutions, and the topic that we're going to be talking about today is reverse engineering with a Geomagic capture scanner. We have a series of webinars coming up, and this is the first one of those webinars. The problem that we're going to be trying to solve through these webinars is related to what you see here on screen right now. These pair of headphones have a plastic hook, a plastic connector that is broken. Actually, both, if you can see in the picture, are broken. And what we're going to do is we're going to scan that part that is broken, and we're going to create a model for it in SolidWorks, hoping to even be able to print it out and replace the part while showing you guys some cool things in multiple softwares. Now let's talk about the software and the hardware that we're going to be using for this particular webinar. So we're going to be using the Geomagic capture scanner, which is there on the left, and the Geomagic wrap software. The Geomagic wrap actually has an add-in for SolidWorks, which is a subset of the tools of the full package. We're going to be using the full package today, so it has more tools, and it's a little bit more robust than the add-in in SolidWorks. So I'll try to cover some of the differences between these and the add-in. Hopefully in a later occasion we'll be able to do a webinar just using the SolidWorks add-in. So once again, the Geomagic capture and Geomagic wrap is what will be used today. Now let's talk a little bit about the agenda. 4 steps is what we're going to be covering today, and the first of those steps is preparing the parts for scan. You saw that the part is broken, so we're going to need to repair that or glue it together. We're going to scan it, and we're going to align the multiple scans, and last we're going to prepare the data for exporting it. Alright, so let's get on to the first step in an agenda. We're going to be preparing the parts for scan. And what do we mean by preparing the parts for scan? Well, the first thing is that we're going to have to glue the part back together. The piece on the right now has been attached. I used some general super glue that I picked up in the store, and I glue the parts together. Another thing that we'll have to take care of is covering the surface of the part, because it's black, and the scanner can't read black. Right? So we're gonna have to let me actually show you guys through a video of some of the process that I went through in order to fix this problem. So along with the super glue that I picked up, I also got myself a bottle of foot powder. This is a spray, of course, and we just need to apply a light coat of that spray on the part, so that the scanner can then read that flat white finish. So it doesn't have to be a whole lot. It doesn't have to be paint. I just use foot powder so that if I need the part again, I can just wash it, and then I can be done with that. Alright, so that's all in regards to preparing the parts for scan. Now we're going to get into actually scanning. Alright, and now that we are in wrap, let's take a look at how we can connect the software to the scanner. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go to the capture tab in the user interface, and we'll hit the scan button. That will show us the connected scanner, and we can see that there's a part there sitting on the turntable. We'll use that for our device registration. We're going to use the spheres technique, and basically what this will do is the scanner is going to take a shot, and it's going to look for the location of those 3 spheres, and then it's going to rotate the turntable. It's going to take a second shot, and it's going to read the part again and try to match the location of the spheres. What this does is it's able to communicate to the software where the center of the table is, and then the multiple scans that are going to be taken can be aligned. Alright, now we're done with this process. I'm going to switch the part to the actual plastic hook that we're trying to reverse engineer. I do see in the window here that we're a little bit overexposed. I'm gonna bring the exposure down just a tiny bit. Um, Not getting rid entirely of the red. I found that being a little bit overexposed, it's not a bad thing. I'm gonna leave the setting here to take 10 scans, and I'm just gonna hit the scan. What the software will do is it'll divide 360 degrees into however many scans we're going to take, and then the turntable is going to rotate. The scanner is going to take a picture, then it's going to rotate again. It's going to take another picture. Here's a little clip showing how that actually happens live. So this is what's happening on my table here, and then I'm going to show you guys back wrap and connect the dots with that. So here is the part. We are at our sixth scan, and the part just builds up. It connects all the different scans to the previous one. We can see how that continues to happen live on our screen, and then in the end we'll go ahead and process that information and really align it properly so that we can get something nice out of it. So it looks like we have one last shot right there. Let's wait for that to happen, and we're done. So I'm just gonna hit the OK button here to exit out of that, and now we have the 10 different scans that we're taking properly aligned. We're gonna go through the process of aligning that a little bit more. I'm gonna hide that for right now, and I'm gonna take a second shot because I was able to see that I'm missing a little bit of the data on the underside of my clip, so I'm just rotating it. The plastic hook, actually, I'm gonna change the orientation and take a new set of scans just so that I can combine what I get from the first one and the second one, and have a more complete set of data that I can work with. I'm going to rotate the part here, and this is the portion that I was missing, the underside of that plastic hook, actually on both sides of the base connector. I can see how that filled already, and I should be able to see the part on the left coming up just now once it takes that shot. So let's see how that comes up in the screen. There we go. Okay, so that's the portion that we were missing, so we know that we're good to go. And I'm just going to wait until it finishes taking the 10 shots so that we can then move on in the process and connect these data and align it with the first 10 scans that we took. All right, 2 more scans to go. Alright, we're finishing up right now. One more, and then once that's done, we just have to hit the OK button, and we should be good to go. Alright, it finished, and I'm going to hit OK. And now we have all the data. We could continue to take more scans, but I'm just going to leave it with that. So the process is the same. So this is basically the scanning portion of the project. And now we're going to move on to aligning the multiple scans that we took. So let's go back to wrap, and before we start working with the scan data, I see that there is a little bit of geometry here that I don't need, so I'm going to make sure to delete it beforehand. So I'll just select that with my lasso tool, and then just hit delete to delete that, and then I can clean that up. Oh, I see that I have a little bit of extra geometry here, so I'll delete that as well. Now the next thing that I'll do is I'll use my global registration. You see that it turns the scan data into different colors, so the 10 different scans have different colors, and if I hit the apply button here, what it will do is it'll calculate the different points, and it will register better, so it will farther align those scans. So I'm going to hide that, and I'm going to show my first group, so my first 10 scans, and I'll do the same thing. I'll go to global registration. Oh, before that I have to remove a little bit of extra geometry here. That can actually be fixed later, but I'm just gonna take care of that right now. Okay, global registration, apply, and you can see how the graphics area shows us the alignment, how it's much better now. And now that we have that, then we can move forward and go ahead and show the two different sets of scans that we took. And what we're going to do is we're going to align both of those groups. So I'm going to hold down control, select both of them, and instead of doing global registration, I'm going to do a manual registration. This is a very cool tool. What we're going to do is we're going to fix one of the two groups that are selected. It gets locked into the first box there in the graphics area. We're going to leave the second one as a flotating group, and then we have that independently on the top right, and then both of them on the bottom. So now we have to choose three different points that are common between the scans on the left and right. So I'm going to choose the side, and I'm going to click on this edge right here. Typically, portions of the model or the scan data that have high curvature are better. I'm going to choose this third one on the other side, and I'm going to make sure to click on the same portion. And now on the bottom, you can see how that is updated, and it's aligned much better. Now, of course, we're going to do another global registration, and I'm going to hit apply in order for that to take effect. And you can see how that's much more aligned. Okay, all right. So I'll hit OK, and that concludes the portion of the project where we're aligning the scan data. I see here that I still have a little bit of extra geometry. I'm going to delete that. And all right, this is more than enough for what I need to do. We can continue to take more scans and continue to align that, but this is going to be more than enough for what we're going to do. We're not going to get every single detail. We're just going to get the overall shape of the plastic connector, and then we can work with that. So the next thing that I'll do is I will convert these two sets of groups into one group. So I'm going to convert the points into just one single feature. I'm going to keep the original data just in case something goes wrong. I can still go back to the original data and work with that. I'll hit apply. That's going to take some time. I'll hit OK, and then I can hide the groups that are the original groups, and I can just show the merged points in one single feature, as you can see there on the left. The last thing that we'll do is we're going to convert that into a mesh. Alright, so I'm going to click on my wrap tool, and then here on the left we can specify a couple of different settings. I'm going to leave that as it is. I'll hit the OK button, and now this has been converted into a mesh. Alright, so let's go back to our PowerPoint, and this concludes the third step, which is aligning multiple scans. So in summary, what we did is we took the multiple scans, we aligned them, and then once they were aligned, we combined them into one feature, one point feature. Alright, so moving on to the fourth step, we're going to prepare the data for export. So we're going to clean up the mesh a little bit so that it's better for when we move on to the SolidWorks portion of the next webinar, actually. So back in Rep, this is the mesh that we generated in the last portion, step 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to fix it, to clean it up a little bit. The first step that I always suggest is going to the Mesh Doctor. The Mesh Doctor gives us a very good analysis. It tells us what things are wrong with the mesh, maybe some non-manifold edges, self-intersection, highly creased edges, a couple of different things, spikes, small components, and then it gives us the option to fix that. So we're going to go ahead and click the apply button, and we see in the graphics area how the portions that are fixed are highlighted in red, and now that's taking care of the analysis updates. And if I run it again just to double check that my numbers are correct, they are still 0. So we know that we have a healthy mesh to work with. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do with this mesh is I'm going to rotate it a little so that you can see that there are uh, gaps. There's a lot of holes in the mesh, and let's take a look at how we can fix that. So I'm just going to give you an example on this bottom piece here. I'm going to go ahead and fill that hole. So I'll go to my fill command, and I'm gonna use the curvature mode. There's also tangent and just flat, but I'm gonna leave it as curvature, and it's actually not the fill all. It's gonna be the fill single, because I don't want to fill all the holes in one shot. And now I'm gonna just select that hole, and the geometry gets added, and it calculates the curvature, so it is sensitive to the curvature of the surrounding geometry. So that's how I can go ahead and fill all these different holes. Now, another good example of that, it's going to be this tiny portion that I'm showing right now. I do have the information on what that radius is going to be here on this portion of the mesh. So I don't really care if the fill gives me something that it's not exactly like the part is, because I'm gonna take that measurement once again from another portion of the mesh. I'm gonna create a bridge here, so I'll go to the fill tool and I'm gonna select this edge of my mesh, and then drag and then do the same thing here on top. And what that will do is it'll generate, once I release my click, a new portion in my mesh. Right, I'm gonna exit out of that command so it finalizes that, and I'm gonna rotate so you can see that it does keep in mind the curvature of the surrounding edges. Once again, it looks a little bit more flat, but I know what that curvature is going to be. Now I'm gonna be able to just fill that hole, not as a bridge, but as an entire hole, because that's what we have here. And I'm going to create a new bridge here on top. So let me just select this edge and drag, and I'll go to the other side, click and drag, and that's going to generate that portion right there. And lastly, I'm going to create another filled hole with the curvature in mind, and that's all I'm actually going to do for fixing up the geometry here. My intent with this scan data is to be able to model this general shape, right? And I have enough information already to be able to take a cross section in SolidWorks and then just model that as a sweep. I don't need to fix all these different holes that are here. It would just be too time consuming, and I'm not going to be using the outer surface tool, which would need a very clean and enclosed mesh. It's just going to be for reference. So I'm actually good to go. I'm going to save these out as an STL. That's one of the files that SolidWorks will read with the Geomagic add-in. So I'll go ahead and save these out to my put it on my desktop, and I'll name these files something like headphones. Headphone plastic part. All right, put that on my desktop, and that's it. So now we have ourselves a good piece of scan data that we can work with, and that basically concludes these fourth steps. So in summary, what we did was we prepared the parts for scan. We actually scanned them. As a third step, we aligned the multiple scans that we had, and we lastly prepared the data for export. So that concludes this first webinar. We thank you very much for watching, and if you are interested in learning more about reverse engineering or the Geomagic capture scanner or the wrap software, feel free to give us a call or reach us out at design-point.com. Thank you very much.